Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for a weekly angel reading for November 4th through the 10th, 2019. And before we begin the reading for this week, I'd just like to thank one of the subscribers for bringing to my attention to create a post on YouTube announcing the November 9th angel chat. So I'm going to be doing a live chat for the first time. And so it'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And because we'll be in a new time change, I guess. And time is changing. And it's going to standard time from daylight saving time ends, I think, this weekend on the 3rd. So just be aware of that. Also be aware that it is Mercury retrograde started and the 31st of October. And so I've come down with something, so my voice is probably going to sound a little strange, and I apologize for that. I was coming down with something, and I've been fighting it off pretty well, but there's still some effects that in my sinuses and also with my voice. So hopefully you will still be able to relax and hear your messages. So I will do that, make a post. Again, it's November 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll put a post so that other subscribers to my channel will be aware who may have not been following us lately. So this is just to answer, this is just to chat. I'm not doing readings per se. But someone asked if they could send a question. Maybe they feel more comfortable not posting it in the comments below. So you could go to my Facebook page, which is, there's a link there, and you could send me a message there. There's a private message there. Also, you could send me an email to theangelschool@aol.com and just title it the Angel Chat live chat question or something like that. Okay? And I should see it and be able to jot down your question. And I don't know if I'll get to every question, and I'll be really trying to negotiate how to keep up with what's going in the chat room and picking out the questions from there, as well as some of the questions that I'll have. And I'll just trust that whatever is meant to be discussed in this particular one is what needs to come through, and then, save them for maybe another coming up. So we'll just see how this all flows. So I ask you to be patient and forgiving in this first try. So let's reaffirm our purpose for being here and connecting into your soul and your heart and all the possibilities that are available to you. And Archangel Raphael is coming through, and he's writing out the word possibilities or possible. So it's a bit of possibilities and the word possible. And seeing the word fight and the angel number 282. So let me just pull that number out. And I feel like what he's saying is to not give up on something that you may want to give in. And this is not to say that there are moments when we should, but it's about staying in there for the things that matter to you. Holding firm to the things that you deserve. And these are the priorities of the heart. So it's not, well, I haven't gotten deep enough into it yet, but I feel like they want me to help you to understand that when something is a priority of your heart, the fight isn't so much outside of you as it has to do with inside. Because this is about not allowing others to distract you, or other agendas, or attachments, possessions to sabotage your spiritual priorities. And they'll come up, they'll be triggered, because this is all kind of this is something, you're doing something that's really it's impactful. This is the being right on the cusp of having something within reach. And not just those things that we always want, externally, to fill in those gaps so that we can sort of feel as though we have succeeded, or that our lives are complete. But that completion, that sense of completion, is based on, again, those external agendas, and not so much ever about the one within. And so this is what's really, really important. There is some kind of shift going on. And this is what they want you to really, to fight for what you deserve from the alignment of your soul's spiritual purpose and its truth. This is what they want you to fight for. To know what you're deserving, to know the choices before you that are deserving of your attention, of your support, that brings you clarity. And I want to get to this number, but I keep throwing out a lot of information. I'm seeing the word empathy. And when I saw it, I thought about the difference between empathy and compassion. And there is a huge difference between empathy and compassion. You're going to feel, you're aware, and they both have that component. But the compassion piece has wisdom with it. It's information that's informed with wisdom, understanding, and unconditional love, non-judgment. Compassion is non-judgment. And it's not to say that empathy judges, but when some people have a difficult time separating themselves from others, drama. And it's because they feel it and then they go into it because they're trying to save them. And this you can't do. You can't go there and be with them, meaning be with them in the same mental, emotional, physical, spiritual plane. You can't exist. You can't help them and exist in it. I don't want to say verbatim as they are, because if you perceive that they need help and then you become that, then you will need help. But you see that? So compassion focuses you on the story that is unfolding for them. And compassion asks you to see the broader perspective of that story, that no one is drowning, but they are evolving. What they're going through is bringing them somewhere. It's their journey, that soul is powerful. And although the person is struggling against their own light, their light is not letting go of them. So that their light is fighting for them. And it's not fighting against what they're doing that is in contrast or that is contrary to what the soul wants to do. The soul is fighting for them by being even more intensely what it is, what its purpose is, what its clarity is. Shining the light of here is where we are. Here's where you want to be in respect to where they are focusing. And that is the internal struggle, the reason that we feel the struggle within and it doesn't feel good, because your soul is shining the light. It's shining the light with a fight. And it's not in protest. It is in a confirmation, an affirmation. This is how it fights for you. It fights as an affirmation that confirms your truth, your purpose, the clarity, your knowing, your wisdom, your gifts at their most brilliant experience. This is what spirit means when it says it's fighting for you. Okay? And so let's take a look at this number 282. I feel like we can go look at it now. I've already pulled it out, had it in my hand for a while. And see, perfect. It says, listen to your own inner guidance about work and finances, as your positive mindset is giving you accurate information. So you may be feeling a struggle, but this struggle is because there's resistance to guidance. And even though you may not want to hear the guidance or you're afraid of the guidance, that's okay. See, compassion would say, it's okay if you're having that struggle, if you feel like you're being like you're judging or you're feeling judged. It's okay that you don't want to do this or you think you don't know what you want to do. But this is giving you the opportunity. This is what the universe does. This is the unconditional love. It gives you the opportunity by shining the fight. I know that's awkward to say, but I'm just going to put it that way. By shining the fight of light for you, they give you the choice. They give you the upper hand. They give you the advantage. The negative emotion, the struggle, is the advantage it gives you. Because without emotion in this at all, you would not know what you cannot see. You would not have any way of perceiving your spiritual truth or the energy at all, that is to say, which is deserving of you and which is distracting you. Is alternatives to positive and negative energy. But it's energy, supportive and distracting or dispersing. And without emotion, you would have no way of knowing. You would have no advantage. You would be at such a disadvantage because you would not have this information to help you discern that there is a choice for you. You would be completely reliable on what you see. And without emotion, there would be no feedback to what you see. It would probably be all brain work, and I don't know if that's possible for the brain for mental work to actually work. I can't imagine it, but it would be. I think we would be what they call psychopaths if we didn't have that emotional component. So it's there for a reason. And so don't get upset when you feel the struggle, because it means that the universe, that love of your soul and God is fighting for you. And that higher part of you is fighting for you. And you don't have, it's not judging you. That's what they want you to know. It's not judging you. But that struggle gives you an advantage, an opportunity to choose peace for yourself. So if you can't calm down, like, because we all try to go, okay, I got to meditate. I got to get rid of this negative energy. And sometimes you try to meditate and it does not work. You can't keep your mind quiet. You can't stop worrying about that thing. You can't, whatever somebody said or whatever happened, it just eats you up. You are caught in the grips of an internal struggle. And why is that? Because your soul is fighting for you in that moment. So don't walk away from that fight, from that internal struggle. And that fight is really a communication. So we're demystifying the energy, the normal way to perceive. It's just a communication. And when you make the decision, the one that your soul and you are truly in alignment with, you'll feel peace. But you got to let go of those external pieces. You got to let go of the value of the external pieces, because that's what keeps you struggling against yourself. Because I don't want this person to get over on me kind of thing. Or I don't want this situation to get the best of me. Because we see in the external expression, that so many people allow themselves to devolve in this way, meaning they get stuck in this kind of understanding of winning. And when they have this kind of understanding of winning, they're losing every time. All of us are. And we all do it. There's no way around it. But compassion, when you step into compassion for yourself versus the empathy, then, because when you're in that empathy, that's how you can't get out of it for yourself. That's why you get stuck. That's why you will allow yourself to devolve into a situation that is negative, that is dispersing your energy, that's not supportive, because you are feeling it all. You're feeling it all. You can't, the lines are blurred. You're taking responsibility for other people's drama, and vice versa, you're all feeling it, and you're all at the same level. So you got to introduce compassion, because you have to then ask yourself, and the way that I think to introduce compassion is to ask yourself, what do you deserve? What is the path of least resistance? How do I achieve freedom? What will give me peace? What will allow me to ultimately be free to be happy? These phrases are the way to bring yourself into that place of integrity, to bring yourself into that place of compassion, where now you're looking at the bigger picture. You are holding the light, fighting for your truth. You're fighting for justice. This is spiritual justice. That you be free, that you be happy, you have peace, you feel loved. And that you are free from whatever is before. And that is the kind of decisions that you need to start making, and that we all need to begin making and discerning for this. Because as long as we are still attached to something emotionally, we are not present and we are not free. And those areas of our lives that we want to heal will be continuously being undermined, sabotaged because of those connections that are done in this way, that are fulfilled or held on to in this way. All right. So I'm working with a new card deck that I bought. It's an indie deck. It's called the Light Seers Tarot, and there's a lot of information about it on YouTube. And the woman is the author of this deck, creator. She did the artwork, everything, all parts of it, is Chris Ann. And that's how that's the name she puts on her deck, Chris Ann. I think she has the last name, but I can't remember right now. But I'll put all that in the description link below. So I've never worked with this deck, so this is the first time. And you can't purchase it any longer, so you have to get it through Hay House now, which I'm probably going to do because I want to preserve this deck for as long as I can. So let's take a look and see what beautiful messages are coming up for us this week with the archangels. Okay, so we have clairaudience. This is Archangel Zadkiel. And this message is about paying attention to what you hear. The message that you hear inside your head. And it's interesting because for me, I have heard like a distinct voice outside of but it's very rare when that happens. When I say, it feels like I'm hearing, or when I say I'm hearing, it's like these thoughts are so distinct, so clear, that it just, in a moment, it's like you're hearing it. Sometimes you hear a song or it'll be playing in your head and you have no idea that you're humming it, or a phrase of words. Sometimes I feel like as I'm speaking, I'm trying to say one thing and a phrase of words is coming into my mouth, into the formation of all of those, the articulators and etc. And this is what, for me, is the clairaudience. It could be also things that you hear on the radio, and all of a sudden it's just that right moment, the right words, the right message you need to hear. Or somebody calls you and you were just thinking about them and they say something to you that you needed to hear. And that is how the clairaudience works in general, for me. And so, and I feel like right now that they want you to hear, they want you to distinguish the frequencies of energy. This vibration is a communication of the divine. And there's all this interaction of vibration in terms of emotion and vibration that downloads as language, symbolism, and things like this. All of this is the universe communicating with you. And so it feels like in this week that there is a huge opportunity of light, and they're writing love. So they show me a lampshade, that's my symbol for enlightenment. And they're showing me a camel, and I know there's probably another meaning for this, but in the moment when I saw it, it's like there's something you're carrying. And because he has those humps on his back, and it's like storage. And because this was just coming up for me with the dragons, the aquamarine dragons from Neptune, who carry the wisdom of Atlantis and Lemuria, and spiritual and psychic information, all that intuitive, because they are water dragons. They are water dragons. And Jesus is coming through and working with the heart. And God, I just forgot the word that I was that I was talking about that had me so focused. Um, so they were talking to me about the camel clearing something. They were clearing. We're going to go back to this, but the negative energies just in my energy field. So they were just, and it just kind of came through and is very soothing, and it feels like they are preparing us. So because I kept going, is it karma? It wasn't necessarily karma, but they were just clearing energy, attachments, things that we're holding on to, like that we carry around with us, that is laboring our frequency, so holding it down, holding it in resistance to that light of good, of quality. And so take a deep breath right now and calling in the aquamarine dragons who are ninth dimensional. And they step down the light of source through the Neptune, and just allow them to pour this light, aquamarine light, their frequency, this ninth dimensional frequency, into all of your 12 fifth dimensional chakras. Just give them permission. Just know that they are doing it, and Jesus is working with them to. And there was something about, and Jesus was saying before this started, this is a particular healing. I can't remember the phrase or the words I saw, but this is a particular healing that is his mission, his purpose and his gift. And so he's going to help you with your heart chakra. And he's also going to help you with releasing these burdens, which he's saying is judgment. It's judgment you hold against yourself. And you may not be aware of it. You may say, I don't judge myself. I'm very, free, carefree. I do whatever I want, and I go where I want to do. But you judge yourself. We all do it. It's part of the human experience. But there is some reason at this time that this is something that we're ready for, that we're ready to it's almost like I get this feeling of like holding, oh God, what do you call those things? The slingshot. You know how you put the little rock in there and you pull it back? And you just pull it back, and that's how you're holding yourself back. And the rock, that judgment, we're going to let it go. Just let it go. And what you're going to sling it at is you being judge and jury of yourself. You're going to get rid of that aspect of yourself. You're going to minimize it, put it in perspective. Let it be a useful function, because it's not everything that we think that we want to get rid of because we want to be spiritual is what makes it possible for us to be spiritual in our human physical form. So there's no getting rid of, but there is bringing balance, like the temperance card, right? Bringing balance to all these elements, seeing them as all a part of this unique creation where we exist. I don't have time to go further into that. In terms of talking about the universe, and that although heaven is oneness and it's this ideal of perfection, and we are in duality, but you have to understand that duality, the three-dimensional world that we live in, this creation is equal, not the same, but it's equal in its value to the universe. Because duality gives us the unique experience of discernment. Duality is oneness reflecting upon itself. Where in oneness, there is no need there is no desire to see itself as separate. But that's what's so unique about this. And in that uniqueness, where oneness is seeing itself through many, many eyes, in that is what allows for infinite creativity, infinite potential, infinite expression of oneness to be realized. Okay, that's it. So let's take a look at the cards. And these are very beautiful cards, but let's see what is coming up for the beginning of the week. Okay, so we have Death and Rebirth, the Major Arcana card. And isn't this just beautiful? I'm going to really love sharing this deck with you. It's excuse me. I mean, you're looking at this figure, this cloaked figure, and you know, you have this feeling of something mysterious and ominous, you know, but at the same time, there's no face, but we would normally see just darkness. But in that face is just the vision of clarity of your soul. We're afraid of that which is unknown to us. You know, death is really just the next moment of uncertainty, the next moment of what's unknown to us. That's what death really is, and that's why it frightens us. The angels told me, you know, there's the big death and the little death, and we all know what the big death is, but there's no difference in either. But the little death is what you don't know, and that's what everybody spends so much time trying to figure out. They wrestle with life because they're not comfortable with that, with not knowing what's coming next. And so this is telling you that you have the opportunity to transform yourself, to give birth to new possibilities. If you would detach yourself from the burdens you carry with you, it would allow you to create from a fresh new platform. And I've been seeing the Emperor written out, so I was thinking about the Emperor card, and this is about, you know, structure and planning and organizing. And I feel like right now, I know we're in Mercury retrograde, but you can still do this work where you can plan, structure, you know, you have to discern, and of course the universe will make something happen if it's right for it to happen. So don't say, oh, I can't sign this contract. If the universe pulled it together and it's just so obvious and it's just so good and delightful in your heart, then you know you're good. Don't worry about Mercury retrograde, because if that happened during Mercury retrograde, it's fine. But the thing is you got to let go of those attachments. But you can plan, you can strategize, you can, also the Emperor channels the creativity of the Empress. So there's that. I like the one in Doreen's decks, the Guardian Angel Tarot, where you see this man sitting at a desk and he's writing a musical score, and the muses are above giving him the information, and that's that link to the Empress. So you can be. This is a time of, and that work is reflective, right? So fits in with the R's, the Re's, the prefix Re for this retrograde period. So focus in this way. Focus on those things. Be aware of two things. When you're afraid, what is it that you're afraid of? Well, it's just the possibilities that are unknown to you. You're afraid of the next moment, the little death, what you don't know. The little death is also change, because that's what death is also represents as well. It's change. The big one and the little one are changes in a way of being. But every little death changes the way you are. You evolve. Even though it seems like we devolve, we're still evolving. Because everything teaches and everything just sparks new information and new changes. Wow, so we have another major arcana card, the Moon card. Okay, and so, this is really telling us that this is taking us into some deep waters this week. Look how she's just sort of floating, and look at the light fighting for her. So we got this light here, but look at this one. How that light of the moon, the clarity of the moon, even in that nocturnal light, when we are so, when we are, because darkness is really, when we feel like our lives are dark, we're in the womb of the Empress. We're in the creative mind space of God, of Source. We're in that place of potential. When you feel life is at its darkest, when you feel that you are suffering in such unimaginable ways, see, all that, what it's doing, it scrambles you. You know what I mean? You're like, what do I do? Oh my God. And that, we hate that feeling. But that experience is what's the most amazing thing, because you're scrambled, which means you can choose from, you have more choices. You can go anywhere from this place, this point. When you hit rock bottom, you nothing can get worse. So then it can only get better, meaning you can only but choose to improve. Once you've gone rock bottom in that subject or that topic of your life, there's only up, which means there's only opportunities for improvement, choices for improvement. We don't want to be there, but what I'm trying to tell you is the light didn't stop fighting for you. Your soul doesn't give up. You have an anchor, and you can see that in this card here. So in the deepest despair of your emotional experiences, it's because that light is fighting for you. And you could empathize with it and get stuck in it, or you can start to apply wisdom, compassion, and access compassion by asking yourself, what do I deserve? What is the path of least resistance? What choice? Doesn't matter if the choice is imperfect, but any choice that will give me more freedom, more relief. Okay? Because as you're doing that, you're choosing slices of your spiritual integrity. This is why this light of your soul is so open-minded. It's so flexible. It'll work with you. It does not want you to be perfect. It just wants you to rely on it. Even if you can only give it a piece of yourself, that little piece is a lot. Okay? Let's take a look at the card for the weekend. And this is the Queen of Swords. So look at her sitting there in this sort of winter scene, but it's a good, sort of a clear day, but it just has a lot of whites and a lot of that energy, like she's up in a mountain somewhere. But, and she's just reflecting. She's taking things in consideration. She's got her sword prepared because she's not, and you can see she's a fighter. She's an achiever. And this puts her on sort of the outside of, she's often the queen that's probably alone. But she's independent and she's wise. And she knows that how she gets here is by not allowing BS. She doesn't allow stuff to get in her life. Like what Jesus and the water dragons want to do is cut those cords, and she doesn't allow for attachments. Now, this is something that we have to be careful of, because we can be so good at being detached that we don't allow ourselves to be loved or to be nurtured, to be pampered, and to make connections. You could be a little too suspicious of people's intentions, because you have this ability to see that people are not always acting in their best. They're not acting out their best selves. But this is not a reason to distrust people. It's a reason to be understanding, compassionate. But yes, you have to let them have their drama, not in your space, obviously. But that doesn't mean that you should be afraid of connecting, because the empathy piece, you don't know how to draw the line. You don't know how to create boundaries. But if you're activating your compassion, what they do doesn't affect you, and you could be near them or walking by them or through whatever's going on, and you know not to pick up the rope. And so she's got that sword ready to cut those ropes. And I was in a teaching workshop years ago, and this was her thing on discipline, and she's like, don't pick up the rope. When a person or child starts acting up, tapping their desk and doing negative things, don't pick up the rope, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for attention, not because they want to make you unhappy. It's because they are unhappy and they need someone to listen. And so the thing is that at that moment, empathy, you would get caught up in the emotions. You would feel the anger that they're feeling, and you lash out at them for lashing out at the world because they are unhappy, but they're not lashing out at you. But with compassion, you would make a note that as soon as this person or this kid is in the place to receive the attention that they deserve for what they're doing well, then you would take that opportunity to connect with them. Or you may find something to focus on that brings them to their better self, better version of themselves, and then make that connection. You see, help people when they're in the place where they're ready to receive the help. And that is something that many of us as light workers and empaths don't realize is our first priority and our role if we're really going to be helpers of others. Okay? All right. So, just taking a look at this much for a minute before I pull the card from the bottom. And, it's just basically, it looks like there are some changes, some significant changes that's going on with you. And these things may be a theme in your life right now. That's what the major arcana cards really indicate. It's a theme in your life right now. And it's going to be there for a while. It's a major lesson. It's going to be in the background. Sometimes it's going to really push through, but it's going to be in the background. It's influencing your transformation, your ascension process. And so, don't be triggered into fearing the unknown. Don't let that fear bring up, plunge you into despair. But because we're human and things will happen, we're not perfect. Just remember the potential of light that's in both these cards that's fighting for you, right? And so the Queen here is giving us sort of a personality role that we may want to step into in order to help us with this, and that is be ready to, in a balanced way, detach and step into, detach, but through compassion and working for the moment where there's clarity and where both are on an equal level of desire, meaning that the person truly is in alignment with the help that they're seeking. When they're acting out, they're not really ready. When they're in a place where they're, I don't want to say this, but I guess it's the best thing to say. When they're in a place of humility, when they are in a place of clarity and honesty, then it's easy to help. It's easy for them to be prepared for that alignment. Okay, this is going on very long, but let's take a look. Now, isn't this appropriate? I don't even know if I need to say anything more, but we have two queens here. And the queen's energy is about grounding, grounding that because all the queens have the water element. So it's about being grounding in terms of development, your emotions, grounding the attributes of these queens. So this view of the queen, where she's feeling everything, and there's this balance, you see that there's a little bit of a triangle arc shape around her, and she's really exemplifying that compassion here. And we just have to, bottom line, this is the overall message here, that balance of being clear, being wise, balancing that emotional component with the mental, having that balance of the two energies working together, not allowing yourself to sort of drown in empathy. But when you put these two together and work together, these two queens, you then have the two components of compassion. You have the person who feels, but you also have the person who's discerning. And you want to put that together. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and thank you for joining us this week and for being here for this quite a long reading, but I think it was important. And if you're looking for an angel reading, you can contact me at theangelschool.com and go to the service page for the readings. Don't forget to join me on my Facebook page as well for the daily card messages with these cards. And I will be posting about the November 9th, which is coming up, and 7 p.m. for the live chat. So I look forward to seeing you all there. And don't forget to check the description link. I'll put my email address and how you can reach me to send me a question if that's what you want to do. Or we can just do it at the live chat. Okay. Thank you, and God bless you all.